All right, guys. So I apologize. I was frozen in our last live, so we're restarting this live. Kentucky Basketball Access. Michael Spann with my co-host Tony James, who I talked about last episode. This guy is a basketball savant, I should say. Fazant. I mean savant. See, that's why doing lives, you're very vulnerable because you can't go back and delete. You can't so.
Well, I feel that's more fitting rather than be a savant.
You're a fazant
I'm a
savant.
fazant. I'm a fazant.
Fazant sounds right though. It sounds actually it sounds better than savant.
I can live with it.
Fazant. Okay, yes. maybe that's your nickname on the show. Tony Fazant. That's a good alias. Tony Fazant.
Fazant.
Hey, dude, if you developed a pizza place called Tony Fazant's, I would go there 100%. Buy a lot of breadsticks.
That's got a good name.
So anyway, guys, me and Tony go way back. We played college basketball together. He's my older brother's producer. He's very talented with producing music, amongst other things. So I'm super glad and just excited to have him on board in this channel. We've been talking about it for some time now. And so without further ado, we're going to get into Kentucky basketball, the state of the program. And now, Tony, look, we've lost 2 games in a row. We've lost to two home games at Rupp Arena against teams. Florida should have beat Tennessee. Understandable. They're a really good team, but still not Kentucky basketball standards. So right now, give us the state of the Kentucky basketball program. Should we be freaking out? Should we be kind of like a little bit worried, cautiously optimistic? Where is the temperature right now with Kentucky basketball?
Man, listen, I'm just going to be real about it because I feel like we've all probably been in some denial about this. But if we're being real, we are at a low point in the program that I don't think we've ever experienced. Honestly, we had the worst season that the program's ever gone through 3 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
The very next year, we are a pretty good-looking 2 seed going into the tournament, and we lose in the first round. And then last year was just as disappointing. I mean, we won 1 game in the tournament and then got waxed in the next round. So in my lifetime, we've never been this bad off.
So what's the problem? What's the issue? Why has it gotten to this point when we have talent each year? Because we have the players. Last year we had 4 guys. We had Jacob Toppin's been on an NBA roster. Chris Livingston's on an NBA roster. We've had Oscar Tshiebwe, two-time first-team All-American, National Player of the Year consensus. Cason Wallace, first-round draft pick for the Oklahoma City Thunder. We have guys. I mean, how many college teams could say they had 4 NBA players on their team last year? Not many.
Right.
And so in this year, we have 10 guys who will most likely be on an NBA roster. Most likely. And you can even say Justin Burks may be the 11th guy.
That might be a stretch. But
I know,
the 10, I think the 10 is probable.
Yeah, the 10 is probable.
Yeah, maybe not this year.
Of a potential. But we have 11 dudes who are projected. They'll make an NBA training camp at the very least.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
So what's the issue? What is be the doctor, be the surgeon, and diagnose the problem?
Well, one thing that stood out for me, especially the last 3 years, I feel like every game that I've watched in the last 3 years, I absolutely lose my mind watching these teams play defense. And it's not just this year. It's not just this year that our defensive problem started. In the last 2 years, our ability to guard the pick and roll is non-existent. We cannot guard a pick and roll to save our lives, quite literally. It's not. That's the thing that kind of is surprising to me is you hear all these prognosticators and radio hosts talk about how our defense is so bad this year, and by the numbers, it is much worse this year. But by my eye test, our defense has been almost as bad for the last few years, and I think a lot of it stems from inability to guard the 3-point line and inability to guard the pick and roll. And listen, I love Oscar Tshiebwe. He's the greatest rebounder we've seen in our lifetimes for sure. But you or I could guard a pick and roll better than Oscar could.
So
Oscar just couldn't guard the pick and roll.
right. So let's talk about this year. So this year, because I think fans are like clamoring, what is going on with this year's team? So you lose against Tennessee, or you lose against Florida. Should have won that game. Had the game, and we can dissect play calls. We could play the Monday morning quarterback. The bottom line is that we should have won that game. That game came down to one play. The guy hitting the three should have fouled him. Okay, hindsight's 2020. I get it.
Yeah,
But
that's
that
a hard
again,
fought game.
yeah, but that's endemic of what we're dealing with, I feel like, in these losses. And you can say DJ's, I think DJ would have played a part. I'm not sure he would have made a difference in the Tennessee game at all. Maybe. But we'll get to that here in a second. So this year, though, so defense guarding the pick and roll, offensively, I mean, I think we're a juggernaut for sure. The statistics bear that out, averaging close to 90 points a game, being one of the tops in the nation. But some of these like things that are just inexplicable to me. And again, this is kind of a microcosm. And people have talked about this. But let's just kind of break this down with some, as you said, the eye test, okay? We see time and time again breakdowns defensively, such as breakdowns on out-of-bounds plays. So I have kind of a belief on this as to why, and it stems from practicing or lack of practicing, but just look at the X's and O's. What is the issue, Tony? And again, I bring this up not to hack like, oh, let's jab Cal again, but like this is a microcosm of the problems we're seeing with Kentucky basketball. Why is that? Why is that such an issue that we see these teams utilizing out of bounds plays and scoring? And why are we incapable of guarding it effectively? And who should shoulder that blame?
Well, Coach Flint in the press conference, I believe it was yesterday.
Flint, right? Bruiser.
Yeah, Bruiser Flint. He had a press conference, and he broke it down to be just communication, and I agree with that. But my thing is, when it keeps happening over and over and over again, I think the coach shoulders the blame. I mean, I think he has to. Regardless of if we are well coached or not, this year defensively, we look like a badly coached team. We look like a team that lacks fundamentals. We look like a team that lacks intelligence.
Why is that? Why? Like, what's the issue, man? Be the surgeon here. Dive. Because fans are asking that question, Tony. Why are we seeing these things play out like we're seeing? Here, let me say one thing real quick before you answer that question. I think a part of the issue, and I've heard Cal talk about this, and I get it. You want to do load management. You want to try to preserve the legs of these guys. But here's the thing, man. So you're practicing an hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes every day. To me, man, you have got to practice longer. You've got to be because when you have practice and the minor nuances, I mean, how much are you going to spend in that hour and 15 minutes on out of bounds plays? Like, there are certain things you have to allocate in a practice scenario, and you have to do repetitively. I mean, Again, these are college basketball players. I get that. But some of these guys need rote repetition. And if you got to tell them, look, we're going to simulate this, we're going to break this down, and maybe they're doing that, but when you see it happening over and over again, to me, it tells me, look, these plays are inconsequential. They're not really going to impact the game. But here's the thing. If you look at both of those out-of-bounds plays against Tennessee, Dalton Knecht, who wasn't really getting going, he didn't have a great game. 2 dunks. A dunk, and Cal has said this, can change the momentum. It can change the fervor of a team. And so when you have those out-of-bounds plays, what's the big deal? They score on the out-of-bounds play. In the grand scheme of things, how much is that going to impact the game? But those small plays, if they build up, and as you said, if it's bad fundamentals, and that's the thing, when I'm looking at the defensive fundamentals, not communicating on the screens, not giving the guy an elbow or some physical check when he's going through the screen, not having your head on a swivel, these things are basic stuff that, like, when I coach middle school, I would talk to my middle school kids about. So why are these things not being addressed?
Well,
or are they being addressed? I mean, like, what? I don't. Maybe they are.
Well, here's the thing. Well, first off, basketball is a reactionary game. For a lot of these fundamentals, you have to practice them and drill them enough to where they become second nature. So I mean that's a part of it. Where we have younger players, and I know this, we get tired of hearing about younger players, but I mean it's true. When you have younger players coming out of high school that are used to being way more athletic than everybody else they've ever played, they've never had to rely on fundamentals, right? In the same way you or I, which, we're somewhat athletic, but not on that level, if we wanted to be effective in a game, we had to be sound fundamentally, right? So I think it just takes time um, for guys that have never learned, because listen, when you get into college, now everybody's athletic, right? So now your lack of fundamental awareness, your lack of intelligence with basketball IQ really becomes apparent when you step onto that court with all these other guys that are just as athletic as you, or if they're not as athletic, they're right there. Like now you really have to guard somebody. So now you really have to learn how to guard somebody. And if this is the first time you're ever learning that, it's just not your habit. And Cal speaks about that a lot, and I agree with him, right? But the thing is this: if every year we keep coming out and doing the same things over and over and over again, well, now it's on the coach to make a change.
Yeah. So I mean,
We got a comment in the comment section. Thoughts on the CIA?
I have a lot of thoughts on the CIA.
Yeah, me too.
Not a lot of positive thoughts.
None. None.
I will. That's a very important question, and I appreciate that. But we're actually sticking on a certain topic tonight. But I will. There's a good chance I may delve back into the government.
Let's do a CIA show. I'll do a CIA show with you, bro.
Do a CIA show.
I'm all in.
I get it. I've been affiliated with an intelligence organization.
Let's finish talking about the Cats tonight, though.
Yeah. So we're talking about the Kentucky Wildcats. But all right. So we've kind of broken down some of the problems of this year. Is it fixable? Will we fix it? And if we don't, Tony, what is going to be the end game for us? If we don't fix these simple problems on defense, what ultimately is going to be the result of this year?
So first question, is it fixable?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. If I'm sitting here saying that, obviously our main problem is defense, just from a, philosophical perspective, I absolutely believe defense is fixable, no matter where you're at and what stage, right? Because defense comes down to fundamentals and intelligence and positioning, right? And these are all things that can be coached. Like you can coach somebody up to be a good defender.
Will it happen? And if it doesn't, if we don't improve, so okay, will it happen? Do you think? And if it doesn't, what's going to be the outcome of this year?
Honestly, I think there's been moments where we have flashed for 4, 5, 6 minute segments that we are capable of playing good defense.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't strung together an entire game. We've strung together a couple entire halves. Against Arkansas, we played one good half. Against Florida, we played one good half. But can this team put together an entire game of focus and effort defensively? I think the answer to that question is yes. I think they can.
So now let's get down to like the nitty gritty, okay? Because we're going to end the show talking about some outcomes. Okay, tonight we play Vandy, right? We winning the game tonight?
Well, the reports are that yes, this is a must win. This is a must win.
Recover the spread is 10 points. Recover the spread.
That depends. And here's what I'm saying. There's been reports that Trey Mitchell and DJ Wagner are going to be out, which are going to make it tough.
Remember, step up, man. If he's playing, Big Z's got to step up.
Yes, I would agree. But remember, Vandy has beat us the last 2 times we played them.
Dude, Vandy almost beat Alabama. Vandy only lost to Alabama by 3. Dude, I'm telling you, Vandy is going to come out guns blazing. And that gym, playing in that gym is awful. Was it Memorial Coliseum? Yeah. That is an awful gym to play in. And every year we play there, it seems like there's just something that goes wrong. Cal's going crazy.
Yeah.
The bench is at the opposite end of the court, so you can't affect. And Cal's one of those guys who constantly. So maybe that may be a positive for you.
Well, and here's another thing too. Like, we don't know if we can win without Trey Mitchell, but we do know that we haven't won when we're missing DJ Wagner.
Yeah.
He makes a big impact. defensively.
And I think with him, it's more the mentality. It's the temperament he
Yeah.
brings. Just that they call it the dog in him.
Mhm.
However you want to call it, he's got a temperament. He's got a demeanor that he
Yeah.
presents during a game that can be very infectious to the other guys. And I think
Mhm.
that is important.
But let me say this real quick, Mike. Let me say this real quick.
Go.
This is a must win because
So we cover the spread. We're going to win. We cover the spread.
I say we win, but we don't cover.
Okay, so it'll be, within that 0 to 1 to 10 points.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So must win tonight. All right, against Vandy. We're 15-6 right now. We're 5-4 in the SEC. Look, 5-4 in the SEC is unacceptable. We're 5-3. We're 5-4. 5-3. We're 5-4, right?
Yeah.
We've lost 4 games.
Yeah.
Totally unacceptable. 6th place in the SEC. If Alabama wins the SEC again with Nate Oates, dude, I'm gonna be not happy.
Over the last 5 years, Alabama. Over the last 5 years, Alabama's a better program than we are.
I don't like hearing that. But
it's a fact.
But facts bear that out.
It's a fact.
Our culture doesn't like facts. We're opposed to facts. They don't like data, but that's the data speaks. Okay, so I think we're gonna beat Vandy tonight. I think who's gonna have the big game tonight? Really quickly, give me in 30 seconds. Who's your player of the game and why? And what are the stats gonna look like?
Rob Dillingham.
Dillingham, baby.
I mean,
let Rob go. Release the Rob.
We have to let him go. There's no reason that he shouldn't be starting and that he shouldn't be playing at least 30 minutes a game. Yeah. And that's even when DJ comes back.
Yeah. I think Reed, Rob, and Antonio have to be the guys who are getting the most shots of any game. In every game, I should say. Those 3 guys have to be getting the most shots. When you have those 3 dudes who are shooting 40% or above on the 3-point line, and here's the thing. Like I've said this, Rob should get 20 shots a game. Reed should shoot 8 to 10 threes every game until his percentage drops below 50%. It's inexplicable. Dude, if you are shooting 50% from 3, you better be shooting the ball at least 10 times. Hey, if you shoot the ball 10 times, you make 5. That's 15 points right there. Dude, there's no reason. At last game, he was shooting difficult threes, and he was 3 for 6. He was still 50%.
Right.
So again, man, we've got to come out and play tonight, man, because Vandy's going to come out. They're going to smell blood. We're reeling a little bit. Yeah. It's a must win. I mean, we're 17th in the country right now. I still think here. Let me give you my player of the game is. I'm going to go with Big Z. I think he's going to come back tonight for some reason. I think he's going to have a big game. I think he's going to be getting double figures point. I think he's just going to get rolling. Cal's going to give him a chance, and I think he's going to be an X factor in the game. I'm looking for double figure scoring. I'm looking for 5 to 6 rebounds, 3 blocks. I think he's going to be key tonight. I could be completely wrong. He may not get a lick of playing time, so I'm kind of going on a limb here. I think we're going to win tonight. I think it's going to be 94 to 83. I think we covered the spread by 11 points. And my projection for the year, the jury's still out with me, okay? And I think if everything comes together, we have the potential to make a deep run. But I've said this, Tony, and I'll say this, and I'll close it out, then I'll ask you one more question, and we'll close it out for good. I need to see this team get 4 quality wins in a row to give me confidence going into the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. If you can't show you can win 4 decent games in a row, and it starts tonight, then we have Gonzaga on Saturday, I have a lot of reticence to believe you can somehow parlay that into the NCAA tournament and then run off 4 games. So let's start tonight. Let's get a win tonight, and let's get that 4 wins in a row. Just get some mojo back, get the confidence that we can string together some wins and build some momentum. All right. Last word.
Let me give you my take real quick on
last word.
Everything you just said. All right. Dilla the Killer goes for 30 tonight.
Dilla the Killer. All right.
Dilla the Killer. That's my new name for him. We win. Here's the thing, bro. Our next 10 games are bad. We've got a rough schedule the next 10 games, right? And I feel like with where we're at right now, we're going to struggle to go 6-4. If we lose tonight, that makes it look a lot more like 5-5 over our last 10, which will give us 11 losses going into the tournament. At which point we'll be on the bubble. So if we if we don't figure it out and figure it out fast, I'm talking about in the next 2 games, if we don't get this figured out, this could be disastrous.
That's a good word. Well, guys, we just hit 20 minutes. That's don't like to be ominous. Tony and I, don't get it twisted. We both have hope. We both have hope, but we also want to be real with you guys and just let you know okay, look, this is the current state. This is our perception of the current state of the program. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We'd love to have your subscription. Tony's going to be a regular here. It's me and Tony. I mean, Tony's my right-hand man, and he's the Span right-hand man because he's my older brother's right-hand man too. So really appreciate Tony jumping on board with the channel, and we will see you guys hopefully in the next several days, probably before the Gonzaga game, and hopefully the next drop, the next live will be kind of celebrating our victory over the Commodores. Tony, any last quick 30-second word before we go?
Go Big Blue.
BBN, baby. All right, let me see. Hold up. Let's make sure we got this. All right. All right. Well, I guess we're good, Tony. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you for tuning in. Kentucky Basketball Access. We will check in with you guys later.
Still going. This is awkward.